This week in Thailand, a woman gets caught leaving a hot and steamy surprise in a Rayong dressing room. Militants launched one of the deadliest attacks in Thailand's southern region this year, and a knife rampage in Bangkok that left a police officer stabbed and a foreign tourist shot. Let's get stuck in. How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Some very wild stories coming out of Thailand this week. That is nothing new. If you've been here for a while, you know. I rounded up the ones that caught my attention. We've kind of split today's video in half. We're going to start with some stuff that is questionable, to say the least. It sounds like something you would hear on one of those talk radio shows on Grand Theft Auto, but trust me, these things actually happen. And then we'll get into some stories later that are on honestly a much darker tone, but important to understand regardless, important things to keep up on so you know what's going to happen and you know what to keep an eye out for when you come to Thailand. So without further ado, let's hop into our first story. Now, in regards to this first one, I promise you, this is a very real story. It was one of those headlines. I was like, there has to be some confusion here. Maybe something got lost in translation. Nope, this 100% did happen. Customer defecates in Rayong clothing store's fitting room. A clothing shop in Rayong filed a police report after a customer defecated inside a fitting room before leaving the premises, calling on the women to accept responsibility or face legal action. The incident took place at a clothing shop on Sukhumvit Road in the Ban Chang district of Rayong on July 21st. The owner said the woman has until the end of the week to come forward before legal proceedings are pursued using CCTV footage as evidence. Speaking to Channel 7, 49-year-old shop assistant Jum said the customer arrived at the store at about 3:20 p.m. in a dark blue sedan. According to Jum, the customer entered the shop and loudly asked to use a toilet. The staff member said she believed the woman appeared to be under the influence of alcohol. Jum said she directed the customer to the shop's bathroom, but the woman instead picked up a pair of shorts from a display rack and entered the fitting room. After the customer left, staff noticed a strong odor coming from the fitting room. Jum said she entered the room and found feces on the floor along with the woman's trousers. She then photographed the registration plate of the customer's vehicle before contacting the shop owner. According to Jum, staff cleaned the fitting room themselves. She said the experience was distressing and encouraged customers facing emergencies to inform staff, adding that employees are willing to assist when needed. Man, I'll tell you, being from America, especially on the West Coast, if you don't know, pretty much everybody who's homeless in America ends up coming out to the West Coast because the weather's nicer. The thing about it is a lot of people who are homeless are addicts, to say the least. Honestly, thinking back after reading this story, I've seen some pretty crazy stuff with homeless people, also involving defecation. People somehow getting stuff on vertical walls. I'm not going to dive in too deep, but I have my own theory as to what happened here. I think this lady had a bit of an accident in her car and she went in there and she thought, I can just swap out a pair real quick and I'll be good to go. I feel so bad for this staff. Like, if something happens and you have to deal with your own, that's bad enough. But having to deal with somebody else's, when I have kids, I think I'm really going to have trouble with changing diapers. But hopefully the staff gets this squared away. I mean, the old poop bandit strikes again. I genuinely do not know what would go through somebody's mind to be like, oh yeah, this is a good plan. I definitely want to hear from you. These are some of my favorite stories to hear from people. They're some of my favorite episodes of Cops. I want to hear from you. What is your wildest story involving, doesn't have to strictly be poo-poo, but wildest story that you have had involving a homeless person or maybe somebody who was hammered? Let me know down in the comments. All right, and moving on to our next story, and ideally, washing down our brains with some psychological bleach to get rid of those images, I want to ask you a question. When is the last time you deliberately set aside some time to do absolutely nothing? For me, I sat down, I thought about it, and it's honestly been a lot longer than it should be, in my opinion. And apparently some people in Thailand were thinking the same thing, because there is an event coming up at Benjikiti Park here in Bangkok that I think is it's an amazing idea. Bangkok's quote unquote Do Nothing event returns to Benjikiti Park on August 1st. Bangkok is not a city that makes it easy to stop. Even sitting in a park here tends to come with a background layer of notifications, music, and the low-level pressure to be doing something productive with your time. Do Nothing Episode 2 is built around the deliberate rejection of all that. The event returns to the Central Amphitheater at Benjikiti Park on August 1st, 2026 from 5 to 6 p.m. It's free to attend. The format is exactly what it says. Participants spend 30 minutes doing absolutely nothing in whatever way feels right to them. No phones, books, music, or conversation. At 5 p.m., a 30-minute countdown begins. Within that window, you can sit, lie down, daydream, meditate, or stare off into the distance. The one requirement that you do have is do not disturb the other park visitors. The organizers are clear that this is not a competition, a challenge, or some type of structured activity. There is no right way to do it. The point is to simply take a short break from the noise and pressure to always be doing something in a city where that pressure is difficult to escape. I absolutely love this. You know, in all big cities, not just Bangkok, it can be really easy to just get swallowed by the hustle and bustle, especially nowadays with, hustle culture, and you need to be up at 3 a.m. and you need to have 20 hours of productivity a day. Now, don't get me wrong. I have an appreciation for hard work. I do think it is important, but I also think it's important to kind of just slow down, look around every once in a while, and just take a little break. It's okay to do a little bit of nothing sometimes, especially if you have been busting your cheeks getting stuff done. This is great. I love this. I will absolutely be here. If you've spent any time in Thailand, this kind of makes sense entirely. One of my favorite thing about Thai people, I don't know if it's the Buddhist ideals kind of ingrained in the culture, but they're good at just kind of slowing down and smelling the roses every once in a while. So I will be here for this. If you want to come hang out, say what's up. August 1st, 5 to 6 p.m. I believe it said. Double check. Yep, August 1st, 2026, 5 to 6 p.m. Benjikiti Park. No, this is not sponsored. They didn't ask me to mention this. I just think it's cool, it's unique, and it'll be a good time. And Benjikiti Park is a very nice place. Now, moving on to our next couple stories, our tone does change a little bit. Of course, we have a responsibility to report on everything that is currently trending in Thailand, and sometimes those stories are not fun to talk about. 5 paramilitary rangers were killed and 6 civilians injured when a group of heavily armed men on a pickup truck attacked the security checkpoint in Rayong district of the southern border province Wednesday night. 6 black-clad men riding in the back of a Nissan pickup truck launched the attack on the Bukit Samai checkpoint in Tambon Rayong Mat at 6:45 p.m., firing guns and throwing pipe bombs. The attackers fled on Highway 4055 towards Tambon du Sangyor. Security authorities are hunting for the attackers currently. The violent incident followed a car bomb attack near a police station in Muang district in Narathiwat Tuesday night. So if you don't know, the very south of Thailand on the border of Malaysia has actually had a conflict going on for quite some time with, honestly, a bit of an insurgency. Now, this isn't a place that a lot of tourists end up. This is something that I do see stories every once in a while, but for what it is, I don't see it getting reported on a lot. Understandably, I could see why people don't want this narrative that Thailand is a super dangerous place, which, don't get me wrong, it's not. The likelihood of anything like this happening where any tourist hotspot is next to none. But this is something that's important to understand, especially now. I know there's a lot of backpackers traveling down through Thailand into Malaysia, down to Singapore. So this is something you need to consider. I did go back and check on some other happenings of other similar stories that have happened down there. And for the most part, from what I can gather, all civilians in these situations that do end up getting caught in it, I haven't seen anything really that looks like it was a deliberate targeting of civilians. So that is something to consider. Of course, all the authorities in this area, this is at the very top of their list. They've said if anybody has gone across the border or anything to hide in Malaysia or anywhere else further south for that matter, they're going to be pulling out all the stops. They're going to try to find out who these people were, because unfortunately, too, another thing is a lot of these officers and stuff that are getting killed in these attacks, they're very young. So it is very sad. I had some people ask on Facebook if this was something they need to be worried about coming to Thailand for a visit. I wouldn't say worry about it or consider changing your plans or anything like that. But of course, it is important to be aware of what's going on in the areas that you're planning on visiting. And while that story happened hundreds of miles away in an area that not a lot of tourists make it to, our next story is almost something just as crazy that happened right here in the heart of Bangkok. A Frenchman succumbed to his wounds after being shot by police during a knife rampage that injured an officer in Suan Luang district. The 34-year-old man, identified as Ba Adam, was shot 3 times after allegedly threatening residents, demanding money and damaging property at an apartment in Soi Patanakan 43 on Friday. Police said officers ordered him to drop the knife and used a taser twice when he approached them, but he allegedly continued advancing and slashed Police Senior Sergeant Major Jarut Ayam Suwan on the right calf. Officers then fired the weapons, hitting Adam in both thighs and the abdomen before taking him into custody. Police confirmed that Adam died at Police General Hospital on Saturday. Officer Jarut was treated at Vib Raham Hospital and his condition was stable. Police are continuing to investigate the incident. So if you are coming to Thailand from America, police, for the most part here, tend to operate a lot differently. I think that's why this officer did end up getting injured, is because they were trying to defuse it. Let's be real. In America, if some guy charged police with a knife, he's getting shot right away. They tried to tase him here. You can see in the clips too, they were trying to grab him, take him down before that. So this 100% seems like this was the very last ditch effort to make sure this guy was stopped and didn't hurt anybody else. But it just goes to show, I think there are some people that might think, oh, well, Thailand police, they're kind of soft compared to America. We can get away with stuff. If it comes to a point where you're endangering locals or officers, they will 100% take care of it. And even if you don't get shot, you're going to get whooped, man. It's not like America where the, police have this consideration of political aspects of how they deal with suspects. In Thailand, if they show up and you want to fight them, they're essentially licking their chops, which they should be. If you're trying to hurt police or you're trying to hurt locals, I 100% believe you deserve a beating. In regards to this story, I really don't think the officers had any other options. Thank God no locals got hurt or anything like that. This could have been much worse, and I'm glad the officer that was injured is stable as of the time of this story. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for being here, and you are exactly the type of person that these videos are made for. I want to hear from you. Which one of these stories caught your attention the most? If you would like to read up on any more of them, feel free to let us know. Also, if you would like to keep updated on what's going on in Thailand, maybe you don't have time to sit down and watch these videos, feel free to go over and follow us on Facebook. We post much more frequently on there with stories that I don't really think make the cut for these videos, and really quick snippets so you can stay up to date on those. For me personally, when it came to the story about the poo-poo platter, I could not click fast enough. I could not read fast enough. So let me know which one you enjoyed the most. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like to stay updated, you know what to do. Subscribe and like button is down below. We'll see you in the next one.